All right, hi. Today we're going to be doing the 517 inline expansion, which involves removing this 4-position headphone module and that pill module and replacing it with a 5-headphone module. We're also going to be replacing the touchpad, and we're also going to be replacing the media player that's on the inside of the display. First off, to start, you're going to need a security tool, and we are going to remove the pills module first. Use your security tool to remove the screw and keep track of your security screws. You're going to disconnect the Cat 5 cable. You're going to disconnect the LED power cable, and your pill module will now be free. Go ahead and set that aside. Now you're going to reach inside of the display and kill the power using the 4-position outlet strip that's in here. You're going to have to stick your hand back here, but there is a switch that will turn off the power to the display. Now we have no power on the display. Next, we're going to take our security tool again and remove the security screw that holds in the 4-position headphone block. Once again, remember to keep track of your security screws. Once you get your security screws out, you're going to tilt the 4-position headphone module forward. You will disconnect the Cat 5 cable. You will disconnect the LED barrel jack. Once you have disconnected them, carefully lift out the module and set it aside. Now that we've got both of these modules out, we're going to do 2 replacements. The first replacement that we're going to do is our touchpad. Go ahead and remove your touchpad from the packaging. Here's the new touchpad. The old touchpad removes easily. You lift it up and out. On the back, there's a Cat 5 cable. You disconnect the Cat 5 cable. Here's your old touchpad. Here's the new touchpad. Reconnect your Cat 5 cable. Set your button control or your touchpad back inside the display. Next, we're going to remove our media player. To remove our media player, you're going to need your security screw or your security tool. First, pull out all the cables. Note that each cable is marked with a number that corresponds with the port that it goes into. Keep track of your security screws. Okay, we've got the old media player out. We're going to go ahead and install our new media player. Whoops. Here's the new media player. Here's an SD card. And there are also two security screws that come with it. You can use the new ones or the old ones, depending on what you would rather use. So let's go ahead and replace the media player back into the display, making sure the SD card slot faces that way. Okay, once you've got your media player screwed down nice and tight, reconnect all of your cables, starting with your reset button, which is number 9, your LCD input, which is number 8. You got your tablet button input, which is number 6. You've got your write out, which is number 1. Got left out, which is number 3. And we've got our DC 12 volt in, which is marked number 4. All of the cables are marked clearly to correspond with the ports that are on the media player. Okay, now that you've replaced your media player, you're going to go ahead and insert your SD card into the media player. So you take your SD card out of the bag, and go ahead and put it into the media player. Push the SD card in until it clicks to lock. Okay, now you've got your SD card in the media player. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out both of these museum cases and we're going to replace the PETG covers that are on top of them. We will replace the acrylic tour headphones on this side, and we will put in some new graphics. So first off, let's go ahead and start by removing the museum case out of the display. Make sure to disconnect the LED barrel jack cable that provides power to the LED. Go ahead and take out your museum case. I'm going to go ahead and set it right here on the edge of the display. You will need a Phillips screwdriver to access the screws that are on the side of this museum case. And you will also need your acrylic blocks, which should come packed in your box somehow. The different boxes vary at different times. So here we have our PETG covers and our graphics. And here we have our acrylic blocks. We have one clear block. And here's our other block. It comes in and it's some tours. Okay, so like I say, these come packed differently in the boxes. They could be packed in various types of boxes or however your kit came. Make sure you have those before you start. So let's go ahead and take our Phillips screwdriver and move the 2 screws that hold the acrylic blocks and the graphics in. Be careful with the screws as they are very small. Try not to drop them and lose them under the display. So I started on the right side tour block or museum block, sorry, museum case. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this. Let's go ahead and flap that down. I'm going to see what I have in here. So I do have another tour. So we'll be swapping out this one for that one. Also, I'm going to take a look at my PETG covers and my graphics. Here I have my Beats Tour and my Beats Wireless, and that's what I have on this side, so I'm going to go ahead and start with that. So the Beats Tour and Beats Wireless are on this side of the display. I'm going to go ahead and remove my acrylic blocks. There's one. And there's my other. Okay, now I've got both of my acrylic blocks out. Before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and also take out this graphic. Here's the old graphic. Go ahead and set those aside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the acrylic PETG cover that is on top of this museum case. So carefully lift it from sliding your hand inside of it, lift it up. It's on with adhesive and should, with a little bit of pressure, should pop right up. Okay, there we have it. Okay, we've removed the old PETG cover that was on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my new one. Go ahead and take it out of the plastic. Here's my new graphic. Here's my new PETG cover. It's got some plastic covers on it that help to protect it. Make sure you take those off first before you install them. Okay, I'm going to leave that one on until I'm finished. There are also some adhesives on the back that have a little tape that you pull off, which is going to be sticking to the museum case, so make sure you remove that. As you can see, there I'm removing it. There are 2 strips. Remove both strips. Okay, now I have both of the strips off. Now, carefully set this back down into the case. Once you stick the adhesive down, it will be on there nice and tight. We don't want to have it crooked. When you set it down onto the museum case, make sure that it lines up properly and fits in the channel that is there. So I'm going to start from the back side of it, lining it up carefully, making sure it sits in the grooves. I'm going to go ahead and push down on it a little bit. Then I'm going to check it to make sure it fits. Yes, it does. Okay, so now I've put my new PETG cover on. Now I'm just going to reverse the process. I'm going to take my new tour graphic facing myself. Or let's see. Yes, facing myself. I'm going to slide the graphic in. I'm going to grab my new tour block. Try not to hold it or touch it, hold it from the edges so you don't put fingerprints on it. I'm going to slide that one in. Okay, there's that one. I'm going to go ahead and take out my clear acrylic block. Once again, try and hold it from the sides. Okay, now I've got both of my acrylic blocks in, my new fact tag, and my new PETG cover. Let's go ahead and close it back up. Using your Phillips screwdriver and the 2 screws you originally took out, go ahead and reinsert them. Okay, now I've got both of my screws back in. I'm going to go ahead, set this down, back into the display, making sure it's facing upright, making sure the PETG cover is nice and secure. Slide it back into place, and make sure you reconnect your LED barrel jack for the light power. Okay, great. Okay, so now that we've done the right side of the display, we've replaced the acrylic blocks and the fact tag and PETG cover on this side. We're going to do the exact same thing on this side of the display. We will not be replacing the acrylic blocks. You will be using the same ones. You will, however, be replacing the PETG cover and the fact tag. So let's go ahead and do the same thing we did on that side by first removing the barrel jack that supplies power to the LED. So here's my barrel jack. Let's go ahead and take that out. Then I'm going to carefully slide the museum case out of the display. Once again, being careful not to scratch the display. I'm going to go ahead and set my museum case down. And I'm going to take my Phillips screwdriver and remove the 2 screws that hold the cover on place. And I'm going to install my new PETG cover and my new fact tag. Again, be careful with these little screws. They're easy to misplace and easy to lose. And let's go ahead and remove the acrylic blocks from inside. You can tilt it forward and they should slide right out. Be careful not to touch the face of the acrylic block so that you don't put fingerprints on it. And here's our first acrylic block, which is our year beats. Make sure that you put the year beats in second. Okay. Put that down. Now I'm going to go ahead and take out the next acrylic block, which is the Power Beats acrylic block. And I'm going to make sure that I don't touch the face of it again. Keep your hands on the edges. And this is the power beats, so this goes in first when you reinstall them. Make sure you keep track. You don't want to get them mixed up or make them backwards. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go ahead and take out my old fact tag graphic. Again, you're going to watch to make sure which way the graphic is facing so that you don't reinsert it upside down. So take note of which way your graphic is inserted when you pull it out. And remove your old fact tag. There's my old fact tag. Put that aside. Now we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. You're going to stick your hand up under the acrylic PETG cover and just lift it up. They're on there pretty good, so you might have to wiggle it. Come on. Stick your hand in and push it up until it separates from the museum case. So here's my old PETG cover. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I'm going to take my new PETG cover and graphic out of the box. And remember, your packaging may not be exactly like this, but make sure that you have them. I have my new graphic and my new PETG cover. So now I'm going to remove the plastic protector that's on the bottom and expose the two red strips that cover the PETG. And I'm going to take these two little red strips off, peel them off carefully. As you can see, I'm holding the PETG cover by the outside edges. So I removed one off the adhesive. Let's take the other side off as well. So there I have, I'm removing my PETG adhesive strips so that I can stick it into the museum case. There's that. Okay, whoops. Okay, now be careful not to touch the adhesive. You're going to start from the back edge and set it down onto the or into the museum case. It fits right into the slot that it was designed for. It should sit right down in there, just like so. Okay, once you've got it in, kind of press down on it so that it sticks tightly. Okay, great. Now I've got my new PETG cover on there. I'm going to take my new graphic, my fact tag. I'm going to go ahead and remember which way you had taken the old one out. So I'm going to reinsert it. And if you don't know which way is up or down, this side will go towards this side of the display. So where the LED connects goes this way towards the display. Okay, now I'm going to take my acrylic blocks, which I'm going to take my Power Beats acrylic block first. Once again, touching the edges. Make sure you don't put fingerprints on it. Slide that in. Let's go ahead and get our next acrylic block, which is the Your Beats, and I'm going to slide that back in as well. Okay, now I've got both my acrylic blocks in. Go ahead and reinstall the cover using the 2 Phillips screws. Put your cover up, just like so. Okay, now I've got my Phillips screws nice and tight in there. Good. I'm ready to go ahead and install my museum case in. Now there is another acrylic protector. It's a little strip that you peel off the front of this. I'm not going to peel this off until the end of my installation. That way it keeps it protected so that I don't accidentally scratch it. So once you're finished with the complete installation, don't forget to remove the protective film that covers these PETG covers. There's one on this museum case and there's one on this museum case. So carefully reinstall your museum case. Okay, and make sure to reconnect your LED barrel jack. All right, great. Okay, so now we've replaced the acrylic blocks and the fact tags and the PETG covers on both sides of this display. And next what we're going to do is we're going to install the 5-position headphone module into this portion of the 517. So over here, at the top of this. Okay, so be careful when you're taking your 5-position headphones out. They are heavy. Okay, make sure everything's all right. Alright, great. You got your module in. Make sure it lines up evenly. Nothing's okay. Be careful not to scratch the museum cases. Go ahead and flip it forward and attach your number 3 Cat 5 cable, which comes out of the left out port number 3 off of your media player. There's the Cat 5 cable. Plug that into the back of your 5-position headphone panel. Also take the LED power that will light up the acrylic. It's a barrel jack labeled number 11. And plug it into the bottom of the headphone module. Okay, now do not put your security screws in yet, and do not turn the display back on yet. We're going to now install the second portion of our display. Now that we've installed the 5-position headphone module on this portion of the display, we're going to now install the rest of the display, or the expansion. And for this portion of the expansion, you will need help. So this is a 2-person job. It will require 2 people to lift this display up and unpack it from the box. So you should have a box that looks like this, just like this. First thing you're going to do is take off the top. We're going to go ahead and remove the front and the sides. Okay, once you've got your boxes, your sides off, you'll notice you have a manual and a security tool that's inside of the display. You're going to come down behind the back of the display and undo the security plates that hold the display into the carton. So go ahead and remove those. Okay, once you get those, make sure you have your power cable out of the way. Go ahead and get your display out of the carton. Set it up on top of the display. Now that you have the display up on the gondola, you are going to take your power and figure out which way you're going to run your power. When you get to the store, it might be that way for you. Today we're going to be going this way. So uncoil your power cable. Now I'm going to hand the power cable over to my associate here. On the side of the display there is a small stopper that you can pull out, and you can run the cable out of the side of the display. There's a little stopper that fits in it. You can pull the cable out of the side of the display so that it doesn't get pinched or damaged. Once you have your power run, you're going to make sure that you slide the display all the way this way. There are brackets on the back of this display that set into the gondola. There are slots on the gondola that the brackets fit into. You're going to have to lift up slightly, push towards the back of the gondola, and set it down. Be careful not to pinch your fingers. In. Okay, that's my side. Go ahead and try your side. Oh, there it is. Okay, now we set the display in, make sure it's sturdy, check to see that it's okay. On the back of the header, there's a little clip that flips up. You can see it right there. Make sure to push this clip in and close it down onto the back of the other header. That will lock the 2 display heads together. Now we've got our second portion of the display. Okay, so now we've got the entire display up on the gondola. The next thing to do is turn this on and do a functionality test. Before we turn that on, I'm going to have you tilt this headphone module forward and turn on the power strip that we turned off in the beginning of the video. So you're going to lean this forward, you're going to reach your hand back in here, you're going to make sure the power is on. Oh, and there it went. Got that turned on, came right on. Okay, so that turned on. Now let's go ahead and go over to our other section and plug in our other section. Alright, so now we've got both sections of the display turned on and up and running. You should hear the pills do a little sound effect when they come on. You should see the video turn on and start playing. You should have lights in all of your museum cases and the decks from which they are sitting on. So these should all be lit up. Your keypads should be completely lit up. And make sure that your tour block is facing up. You just replace this, make sure the graphic is facing up and everything is okay. Alright, so it looks like everything's on. Let's go ahead and try out our headphones first. So you're going to come over to it and you're going to press play. Turn it on. Try each headphone out to make sure it's working. Cycle track forward. Okay, cycle track backwards. Awesome. Volume up and down. Okay, this one's working. Go ahead and do this for all of the headphones to ensure that every single headphone is connected properly and working. Just make sure you got sound from every single headphone. Good. 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 Okay, so we have sound from all of our headphones, so we seem to be working correctly here. I'm going to switch over to video. I'm going to turn up the volume. I'm going to check the headphones. Alright, great. Now I have the video rolling through. So this portion of the display is now working correctly. Let's go ahead and switch over to the new expansion part, which is the single pill and the pill XL. So I'm going to go ahead and select Beats pill. Instantly it came on. I'm going to try the volume up, volume down. I'm going to track forward. Seems to be working correctly. Track backward. Great. I'm going to press play again. It should pause it. Nothing on. Good. Now I'm going to try my Beats pill XL. The XL came on. I'm going to go ahead and track forward for that one. Everything seems to be working. I'm going to turn it up, turn it down, backtrack, press pause. Alright, so everything seems to be working. We've got all of our displays up and running. The last final thing that we want to do before we clean up is you're going to reattach the two security screws that hold down this headphone module. And the reason we waited till the end is to make sure that everything was working correctly before we screwed it back down. So make sure you reinsert your two safety screws. There's one. Another one's over here on this side. Okay, great. Now it's nice and secure. All the headphones are working properly. The Beats pill is working, and the Beats pill XL is also working. We have a nice functioning display. Make sure to check your cable connections on the sides. You don't want to leave the extension cords running out into the areas where people are walking. Make sure you clean up your area. Make sure you take all of the packaging that you use to get all these things out. And the final thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the box that was provided to you in your kit. You're going to repackage your old modules with the 4 headphones and the triple pills. You're going to go ahead and put those back in the boxes that you got, that came in your kit. Just kind of put that one there. Let's put that one there. I'm going to repackage it according to the guidelines at the store. It's different from store to store, however you're going to do it. You've also got the manual that came with the display. It's got a security tool in it. Please either hold on to that security tool or make sure that the proper person at the store that you are at gets that. Also ensure that when you pack up your old items that they are packed properly and that they are ready for shipment. If you have any questions or concerns, please always refer to your manual. And that was the expansion for the 517 inline for the new Beats Pill XL.